morning sun filtered weakly through the blinds of our cramped second-floor walk-up, casting slanted beams across the cluttered bedroom I shared with James. My knee pressed hard against the sleeping bag, forcing the last stubborn pockets of air from its compression sack, the nylon crinkling under my weight. A ritual honed over 3 years of camping with my closest friends. Each trip had taught me the value of efficiency, a lesson etched into the creases of the handwritten checklist sprawled across the bed, its edges frayed from updates scribbled in haste. Since our freshman year at UNC Chapel Hill, this inventory had evolved, new essentials like bear spray added, redundancies like extra socks crossed off with a decisive stroke. The familiarity of the task steadied me, a tether to the routines we'd built amid the chaos of college life. "Emma, you almost ready?" James's voice cut through the quiet, his silhouette filling the doorway, keys jingling in his hand like a metronome marking our departure. "Marcus just texted. They're about 20 minutes from the meeting point." I tossed him my packed bag, its weight a promise of escape. "Almost. Just double-checking we have everything." Our apartment, a functional nest rented since junior year began, hummed with the energy of impending adventure. The camping gear, tents, cookware, and sleeping pads lived in the hall closet, emerging every few weeks when the weight of campus deadlines grew unbearable. James caught the bag with a practiced ease, adding it to the collection by the door, his broad shoulders shifting under a faded UNC hoodie. Tina's voice echoed in my mind from earlier in the week, her plea tinged with excitement. Her friend Rachel is already there with her. Apparently, she drives like she's qualifying for NASCAR. A twinge of annoyance prickled my chest. This Rachel person had been a last-minute addition, a shadow cast over our tightly knit group. Tina had called midweek, her tone earnest. "She just transferred this semester. She doesn't know many people yet." I'd agreed, unable to muster a polite refusal, though the decision gnawed at me. Our camping trips, 6 souls strong with me, James, Marcus, Lily, George, and Tina, had always been a sanctuary of shared history, inside jokes, and unspoken rhythms. A newcomer threatened to disrupt that harmony, an uninvited note in our well-composed symphony. I grabbed my toiletry bag, its zipper catching briefly, and stuffed it into my backpack's side pocket, the fabric stretching taut. "Did Tina mention anything else about her besides being a transfer student?" I asked, glancing at James as he hefted both our backpacks. He shrugged, his dark hair falling into his eyes. "Just that she's in Tina's abnormal psych class and seems cool." He turned toward the door, his voice trailing. "Come on, we're going to hit traffic if we wait any longer." I cast a final look around the bedroom, posters of architectural designs curling at the edges, James's guitar propped in the corner, mentally ticking off forgotten items before following him out. Our SUV, a 5-year-old Ford Escape James had bought used, waited in the parking lot, its rear already half-loaded with cooking gear and a cooler brimming with ice. The drive from Chapel Hill to Pisgah National Forest stretched just over 3 hours, a journey that carved through the heart of North Carolina, transitioning from suburban sprawl to rolling countryside, then into the rugged embrace of the mountains. James took the wheel, his hands steady on the leather, while I navigated, though the route, Interstate 40 to the Forest Access Road, was etched into our bones from past trips. "Miss Parker wants my portfolio draft by next Wednesday," I said, staring out the window as strip malls gave way to pastureland, the landscape a shifting canvas of green. "And then I have that interview with the Charlotte firm on Friday." James squeezed my knee, his touch warm and reassuring. "You'll nail both. Your designs are amazing." I sighed, the weight of graduation looming. "Maybe I just want something lined up before we're done." "You will. We both will." His confidence anchored me. James had 3 interviews lined up for the next month, all for business development roles at tech firms in the Research Triangle, a safety net we both craved as the end of our college years approached. That's part of why we needed this trip, to clear our heads before the job hunt intensified. The drive filled with easy conversation, a tapestry of graduation plans, debates over which friends might stay in North Carolina, and whether we'd renew our lease for the summer. The comfort of these rhythms, built over 3 years, wrapped around us like a familiar blanket. as the mountains loomed on the horizon, blue-tinged and hazy at first, then sharpening into distinct peaks. James turned onto the forest access road. The SUV navigated the switchbacks with practiced ease, its tires crunching gravel. We camped at Pisgah several times, often near Davidson River, where decent facilities and plentiful hiking trails offered a balance of wilderness and convenience. Today, though, the air carried an edge, a whisper of something amiss beneath the pine-scented breeze. We pulled into the gravel parking area near the campground entrance, the crunch of tires announcing our arrival. 2 vehicles awaited, Marcus's Jeep, its hood still warm, and a silver Subaru I didn't recognize, presumably Rachel's. Our friends stood in a loose circle near the trailhead, a tableau of familiarity against the forest's backdrop. Marcus's tall frame stood out, his laughter carrying over the rustle of leaves. Lily and George were deep in conversation, their heads bent close, while Tina bounced between groups, her energy a bright spark. Then my eyes caught someone else, standing slightly apart, her posture unnaturally straight, a figure carved from stillness amid the group's motion. "There they are," James said, parking beside the Jeep and honking twice. Our standard arrival signal. Everyone turned and waved, save the tall woman I didn't know. She simply watched, her gaze a weight that pressed against the glass. We climbed out, the cool mountain air biting my skin, and I was immediately wrapped in a hug from Lily, her auburn hair tickling my cheek. "Finally, we've been waiting forever," she said, her smile softening the words. "Traffic on I-40, James explained, bumping fists with Marcus and George. Tina bounded over, towing the stranger, Rachel, I presumed, her enthusiasm a stark contrast to the newcomer's reserve. "Emma, James, this is Rachel. She's in my abnormal psych class. Rachel, these are the friends I was telling you about." Up close, Rachel was striking. Taller than me by a few inches, her straight black hair cascading past her shoulders without a single strand astray, her skin pale as moonlight. But it was her eyes that seized my attention. Dark and intense, they roamed my face, my clothes, my hands, then returned to my eyes, not with curiosity but with a clinical study that chilled me. "Nice to meet you," she said, her voice soft yet precisely modulated, each word a deliberate placement. She didn't extend her hand, an omission that felt deliberate. "You too," I replied, suddenly aware of the sweat clinging my t-shirt to my back after the drive. "Thanks for joining us." Tina said, "You're new to UNC." "Yes," a one-word answer, followed by that same calculating look. James jumped in, his friendliness a bridge. "Where'd you transfer from?" "Up north," Rachel said, then turned to Tina. "Should we begin the hike? I understand we have 2 miles to reach the campsite." The abrupt shift jarred me, but no one else seemed to notice. Everyone gathered packs, checked water bottles and adjusted straps, the group falling into motion. Marcus took the lead as we hit the trail, George and Lily following, their chatter a lifeline. Tina walked with Rachel, pointing out plants and landmarks with her usual zeal, while James and I brought up the rear. "Not much of a talker, is she?" James whispered, his breath warm against my ear. "No. And did you notice how she dodged your question? Just said up north. Could be anywhere from Virginia to Maine." He shrugged. "Maybe she's just shy around new people. Give her a chance." The trail steepened, winding through thick forest, occasional clearings revealing vistas of the valley below, its depths swallowed by mist. The others talked and laughed ahead, their voices threading through the trees, all except Rachel. She hiked with robotic precision, never tripping or faltering on the uneven path, her steps a stark contrast to our stumbles over roots and rocks. "She's in good shape," James noted, watching Rachel scale a steep section that left Tina panting. "Or she's part mountain goat," I muttered, unease coiling in my gut. When we reached our destination, a small clearing near a creek, technically outside the designated campground but within legal backcountry limits, everyone dropped their packs with dramatic sighs of relief. Even Marcus, who prided himself on his fitness, rolled his shoulders to ease the tension. Rachel set her pack down and surveyed the clearing, her movements quick and decisive, a predator assessing its domain. We fell into our usual roles without discussion. James and Marcus cleared space for the tents, their banter a familiar rhythm. George collected firewood, his steps crunching leaves. Lily and I unpacked the cooking gear, the clink of metal a comfort. Tina darted between tasks, her energy infectious. Rachel stood watching until Tina pulled her into the setup. "Rachel, you can help Emma and Lily with the food prep area," Tina suggested. Rachel nodded and approached, reaching for the portable camp table's other end. Our hands brushed as we lifted it, and I recoiled instantly. Her skin felt wrong. Not just cold, but artificial, like touching a mannequin's flesh masked as human. My reaction must have shown, for Rachel turned, her dark eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach lurch. "Sorry," I said quickly. "Static electricity, I think." She stared a beat too long before nodding, returning to work in silence. The moment passed, but the sensation lingered, a discordant note in the symphony of our routine. I busied myself organizing supplies, arranging condiments and utensils, my gaze flicking to Rachel. She moved with unsettling perfection, every action planned, lacking the relaxed ease of a camper. "Emma, can you help with the tents?" James called from across the clearing. I welcomed the distraction, joining him and Lily to assemble our three-person tent, a task refined by countless trips. Marcus, George, and Tina handled the second tent, their coordination seamless. Rachel unpacked her one-person tent alone, her movements silent and precise. "You don't have to sleep alone," Tina offered. "There's room with us." "I prefer my own space," Rachel replied, her voice flat and final. The campsite took shape as afternoon waned, tents forming a semicircle around the nascent fire pit. Marcus and George built a ring with rocks, while James prepped charcoal for cooking. The remote spot along the Art Loeb Trail offered seclusion, far enough from designated areas to feel ours, yet accessible enough to avoid ranger scrutiny. The familiar sizzle of burgers on the portable grill filled the air, my stomach growling in response. "Dinner in 10, James announced, flipping patties with ease. I carried paper plates and plastic utensils to the table, counting out 7 sets. Turning, I startled. Rachel stood directly behind me, her presence silent as a ghost. "I didn't hear you approach," I said, my heart quickening. "I move quietly," she replied, her eyes scanning the plates. "Do you require assistance?" The phrasing, formal, almost mechanical, struck me as odd. "No, I've got it covered. Thanks, though." Everyone gathered as James served the burgers, and I watched Rachel take hers with a polite nod, sitting apart on a fallen log. While we devoured our food with hikers' appetites, she took tiny, mechanical bites, chewing with deliberate slowness, most of her burger untouched. "Not hungry?" I asked. "I ate before the hike," she said, offering no elaboration. Marcus produced a bottle of vodka with a theatrical flourish. And now, as tradition demands, we begin the real camping experience. Tina clapped, her enthusiasm undimmed. Rachel's demeanor shifted, her posture straightening, her eyes fixing on the bottle with unexpected intensity. "You drink vodka?" Marcus asked, noting her focus. "Yes," she replied, a hint of eagerness threading her flat tone. Marcus poured shots, and I expected caution from Rachel, but she tossed hers back with expertise, extending her glass for another before we'd finished ours. "Whoa, slow down there," Marcus laughed, refilling her glass. As the sky darkened, George and James built a fire, its flames licking the night air. The cold deepened, drawing us closer to the heat, our circle tightening. We talked easily, class stories, professor rants, summer plans, Rachel watching silently, her gaze analytical. "So, Rachel," Lily ventured during a lull, "Tina mentioned you transferred this semester. Where from exactly?" Rachel took another shot before answering. "Up north." "Yeah. But where specifically?" Marcus pressed, his face flushed. "A small private college. You wouldn't recognize it." She redirected. "Tina tells me you're applying to law schools. Which ones interest you most?" Marcus launched into detail, and the focus shifted, a pattern I noticed, Rachel deflecting personal questions with pointed ones of her own. 3 vodka bottles later, the group grew louder, less coordinated. James leaned against me, his words slurring as he debated football with Marcus. Tina sprawled, giggling at stars. George and Lily huddled, whispering. I stayed sober, nursing 2 shots, a nagging edge keeping me alert. Across the flames, Rachel sat upright, unaffected by the alcohol, her eyes gleaming with an unnatural sheen, reflecting the fire like an animal's in headlights. I blinked, the image lingering, and when I looked again, she stared back, her gaze piercing. Need to pee, I muttered to James, grabbing my flashlight and heading to the designated bathroom cluster. The forest transformed in the dark, trees twisting into eerie shapes, my flashlight carving a narrow path through bushes and trunks that vanished into shadow. Finishing, I turned back toward the campfire's glow when a whisper stopped me. I pivoted slowly, sweeping the light in a circle. Nothing. Then it came again, hushed and urgent, from behind a large oak 20 feet away. Against better judgment, I crept closer, keeping the beam low. The whispers clarified. Rachel stood with her back to me, one hand on the trunk, her head tilted as if addressing the branches. The language wasn't English, nor anything recognizable. Clicks, strange tones, a cadence alien to human speech. A dry branch snapped under my foot, the crack shattering the silence. Rachel spun with unnatural speed, her form for a moment too tall, too sharp, before settling into her human guise. Emma, she said, my name formal on her tongue. Are you lost? No, I was just heading back to camp. I raised the flashlight, illuminating her face. Her expression remained neutral, but her eyes crawled under my skin. Who were you talking to? Talking. She tilted her head. I was merely appreciating the forest. The sounds at night are fascinating. My mind raced, perhaps a native language or vodka-fueled mishearing, but the unease persisted. Right? Sorry to interrupt your forest appreciation. I backed away, eager for the group's safety, nearly convincing myself it was imagination as I rejoined the circle. Rachel returned minutes later, slipping into conversation about campus housing as if nothing occurred. The night wound down, friends retreating to tents, Tina giggling, Marcus and George arguing over coffee duty. Coming to bed? James asked, his voice thick with exhaustion. In a minute, I replied. He nodded, stumbling off, leaving me, Lily, and Rachel by the dying fire. I think I'm done too, Lily yawned, squeezing my shoulder. Then it was just Rachel and me, embers glowing between us. Aren't you tired? I asked, the silence stretching. I don't require much sleep, especially not after consuming alcohol. Her tone, more command than kindness, unsettled me. Well, I do. Good night, Rachel. Good night, Emma. Sleep well. I crawled into the tent, James's heavy breathing a backdrop to my restless thoughts. Rachel's strangeness, the whispers, the unease coalescing into dread. I lay awake, the sleeping bag's synthetic fabric rustling with each turn, my mind replaying the day's oddities. A high-pitched whine pierced the silence near my ear. I swatted, thinking a bug had infiltrated, but the sound resumed, closer. Sitting up slowly, I roused neither James nor Lily, their sleep undisturbed. The whine multiplied, tiny, insistent like mosquitoes, though it was early spring, too cold for such pests. The sound swelled, enveloping the tent, vibrating through me. I swatted again, a sharp sting answering, my fingers crushing a mosquito, its body smearing black blood on my hand. Impossible, I mumbled, my head throbbing as I sat up, the tent spinning. The bite on my neck burned, swelling tender and hot. Crawling to the tent entrance, I unzipped it, squinting against the morning light. The campsite lay peaceful. Ashes in the fire pit, the table orderly, mist cloaking the trees. Rachel crouched by the stream, filling water bottles with mechanical precision, her movements devoid of morning stiffness. She turned, catching me staring, and approached. "Good morning, Emma," she said, her voice clear despite the night. "You appear unwell. Just a hangover?" I muttered, pressing my forehead. "Nothing aspirin and coffee won't fix." Her eyes fixed on my neck. "That looks infected," she said, leaning closer. I stepped back. "It's fine. Just a mosquito bite." Mosquitoes are not typically active in these temperatures. You should seek medical attention. I can drive you to the Brevard Medical Center. It's only 28 minutes from the trailhead. Her specific estimate paused me. "How do you know exactly how far it is?" I researched medical facilities near our camping location before the trip. "It's prudent to be prepared for emergencies." She pointed at my neck again. "That requires attention. It's just a bite." I insisted, though it throbbed. Nausea hit, and I retched behind a tree, Rachel offering a water bottle, its coldness startling. "Your condition is not solely attributable to alcohol consumption," she stated. "You don't know that." Her eyes flickered with calculation. "I'll prepare coffee." The bite swelled further, a quarter-sized welt, as the others emerged, each groggy but functional save Tina, who matched Rachel's alertness. "Beautiful morning," Tina chirped, Marcus groaning. James collapsed beside me, swearing off drinking. "What happened to your neck?" he asked, touching it lightly. "Mosquito bite," I said, unconcerned. "Pretty swollen, huh?" He showed a matching welt on his arm. "That's not normal," he said. Rachel approached. "The bites will subside. They always do." "Always?" I asked. "You get bitten by mosquitoes in 40-degree weather often?" "I have a common blood type. Mosquitoes are attracted to certain blood compositions regardless of ambient temperature." Tina displayed a similar bite, cheerful despite past complaints. The routine of breakfast, pancakes on the griddle, distracted me, but my head pounded worse, joints aching, chills racking me despite the warming day. "Hiking the Blue Ridge Loop today?" George asked, spreading a map. "I might stay at camp," I said, feeling ill. James offered to stay, but Rachel interjected. "You should join the hike, James. Moving around will get your blood flowing." "What process?" I asked, alert despite fatigue. "The metabolization of alcohol naturally. Physical activity speeds recovery." James nodded docilely, a departure from his usual protectiveness. I caught his arm, but he patted it mechanically, following Rachel's lead. The group departed, their eyes glazed, leaving me to search Rachel's tent, driven by the bite's throb and James's vacant stare. Her tent revealed a pristine interior, sleeping bag unrumpled, a backpack with folded clothes, a bottle of clear liquid with an unknown symbol, and a notebook. Its pages bore strange symbols, interspersed with English. Vessel, incubation, transfer, host selections. Dizziness struck, and I returned everything, retreating to my tent as my balance faltered. Hours passed in fevered haze, waking to voices. "Happening faster than expected," Rachel said. "The transfer has begun with 2 subjects already." "What about Emma?" Marcus asked. "Her immune response is stronger. She'll require direct intervention before nightfall." I froze, the words from her notebook chilling me. As dusk painted the tent orange, I peeked out. Rachel stood with James and Tina, their movements synchronized, following her into the woods. Sealing the flap, I burrowed into my sleeping bag, fever consuming me. Awakening at 2:17 a.m., my mind clearer, the bite numb, I heard voices. "This isn't right," Marcus said. "You need to explain." "Everyone is simply unwell from the alcohol," Rachel replied, her voice shifting. Marcus demanded to see her bite, revealing a pulsing cavity on her thigh, dark shapes writhing within. George choked, Rachel's neck elongating, jaws dislocating, lunging at Marcus. His body contorted, eyes glazing, as she flowed after George. I sealed the flap, the sounds, tearing, gurgles, unified voices, buzzing, overwhelming me. The bite pulsed, movement beneath my skin. My phone failed, and I slumped, footsteps circling. Rachel's voice coaxed me out, but a false James appeared, splitting open to reveal her true form. A 7-foot entity with translucent skin, needle teeth, and elongated limbs. Mosquitoes erupted from my neck, swarming to her. George's axe severed her fingers, which crawled back, and he vomited mosquitoes, collapsing. As I faded, rangers found me the campsite a crime scene. In the hospital, doctors extracted larvae, attributing it to a neurotoxin. Investigators dismissed my tale, but Rachel's whisper lingered, a promise of return.